Hey yo, Charles here. In the last episode, we were able to add a top navbar and added links to our different components. And in this episode, I want us to design the sign up and the sign in component. What I want us to do, you can go to Bootstrap because we are using Bootstrap to design our app. And if you don't know how to configure Bootstrap to your React app, you can check uh, some of my previous videos in this series. Okay, and once you are in Bootstrap, go to documentation, and right here we will search for forms and click that first option. So the kind of login and sign up form we want is just right here. I don't want us to keep typing all these class names because I want us to move very quickly to the logic section of our app. So I'll simply copy this form the way it is and then customize it. Okay, so I will copy and go to our text editor and replace h3 with that form, and this is what we have. And you can see that there are errors popping, so let's fix these errors first. And they are coming up because of our input fields. We need to close them at the end here. Next input field and close it right there. Next input field, and you can see that the errors have disappeared. So I want us to move line by line and customize our form the way we want. And the div is okay, the label. So the label I want us to fix right here. We add HTML4. Remember, we are using JSX and not HTML. Okay, so in JSX we use HTML4 and change this long value to simply email, and also change the message here to something like enter email. Let's move to our input field, type email class, it's okay. ID, let's change the ID to be also email. So this email and this email are the same, and we don't need this property here. Okay, this property is for this tag, this small tag ID email help. You can see this email help. So this property we don't need it right there, so we remove it. Also, we don't need this tag. This is just displaying the messages to the user, like maybe you can display an error for the email, but we will be using a different approach for displaying error messages and info to the user, so we don't need it. Remove that. We go to our next form group, we fix the label again to HTML4. We change this to simply password, and you can edit it multiple times because it's here and here. Use Ctrl D to select both of them, or Command D, and remove and add a password. And then here we can say enter password. Okay, input field, that's okay. We go to the next form group. This is a checkbox and we don't need this checkbox. We just need email and password and the submit button. So remove the checkbox. We remain with a button of type submit, class btn primary, and then value, the message is submit. We change this maybe to sign in, that way. Okay, So one last thing that we can fix in this form is the classes. Remember, in JSX we use class names and not class. So you can select multiple again by using Ctrl D, select, 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 and delete class name. Okay, so I will save, and you can see that my code formatter have nicely formatted this code. I am using Prettier in case you wonder. And then I still want to add some properties in our form. First, I'll add a class name of container, and also I want to turn the autocomplete off. And let's save this first and see what we have. Let's go to sign in, and here is our form. So the container adds this margin at the ends here. One more thing we can do is add a margin at the top and a heading that says simply sign in. Okay, so let's add that. After form, I will add a tag called legend. Inside this tag, I will add a h for sign in. And to add the top margin, we will add an inline style. This will be a JavaScript object, and then margin top. So you can see this is camel casing. Okay, we use camel casing when we are adding inline style in JSX. And then 30px in quotes. Okay, I will save. So you can see we have some margin right there and assigning. So this is now good. So now I want us to raise several events. One will be the onChange event, so that we can grab our input values and set them to the state. And the other one will be the onSubmit event for submitting the form. So let's start with the onChange. Let me first type, and then I'll explain to you what is happening. Okay. So what is happening here is, first we are setting a default state, which is email and password, and then we are raising an onChange event. Okay, when you type at the email input field, this onChange event will be fired, and then this function will be called, this dot handle change. When this function is called, it will receive event and then set the state. It will update our state here, and it will target e.target.id. So that will target the email when we type at email. So this will be email. The property of the email will be e.target.value, the value of the email that we enter right there. And the same case will happen for the input field for the password. So we need to raise the same onChange event on our password right here. Now we are done with the onChange event handler. Let's add an onSubmit event handler. OnSubmit, this will call a function, this dot handle submit. So let's create that function. So when we submit a form, it usually refresh by default, and I can try and show you that. I will save this first, and if I try to submit this form, you can see that it's refreshing. Now to prevent this default effect, we can do this e dot prevent default. So we call that function, and when we submit this form, what we will be doing is now grabbing our state, because we have already set the state to our variables. We grab that state and submit it to the backend. But right now we don't have a backend set up. Once we add Firebase and Redux, we will come back here and complete this under submit function. But for now, we can log our state to the console, okay, and see if everything works. Okay, so console.log this state. I will save that, and let's see if everything works okay. So I will type an example email here, maybe chaoo@gmail.com, and the password, sign in, and you can see now that our state is being logged to the console. We have the email and the password. So just a recap, what we have done, we have raised two events. One is the onChange event, which when you type, this event will call the handle change function. And what this handle change function will do, it will set the state to the values that we input. And once we are done with entering our values, we submit the form. When we submit the form, this onSubmit event is raised, and the handle submit function is fired. And once it's fired, we prevent the default and we log the state to the console. But in future, we are going to send this to the backend so that we can actually log in our application. Okay, so that's it for this component for now. And the next component I want us to work on is the SignUp component, and they are very similar. So I'll just copy all the content of the SignIn component, copy, and go to the SignUp component. I'm using Control P to open this search tab here, and I can access my SignUp from here. I will select everything here and paste my SignIn component here. And all I want to do is to now customize this component to fit our needs. And the first thing is to change the name of the component. So I will select this, and once I select, I use Control D to select even at the bottom and for our button, and change it to SignUp. Okay, and then okay, let's see if there's anything else that we can change. Our handler is okay. even for the submit is okay, our state is okay, and our h4 we can change this to sign up, email is okay, enter password is okay, so everything else is okay. We are just using the same design for our sign up. Okay, so that's it for the sign up. Let's just see if it have gone through. Let's go to sign up, and oops, we use sign on. I guess that is fine now. The next thing is that is similar to our form is for adding a task to our list. Okay, adding a task to our list, we will use the same handle change function, we will use the same handle submit function. We won't use an email, we won't use a password, but we will use an input field with type of text, and also we'll still have a button. I can go to my add task component, and I currently don't have it. So let's create that component. We don't have that component. So I'll come to the component and add a new folder for tasks. Okay, enter. And then in this tasks folder, I'll add a new file and I'll call it add task.jsx. Enter. So this is the component that we want to enter a form for adding a task. I will paste my sign in form again, go at the top and change sign in to add task. So I'll control D, add task. And then we don't need a password when adding a task, so let's remove this. That can be just very crazy. And we need at least one input field, but this input field will be for task, and the type will be text. Let's change ID to task. Okay, the same on change event is raised, and at the top here we change the state. What we want is a task, not an email. Okay, and then what else can we change? We can change right here, add a task. I will save that, and we are currently not rendering this component, so let's import this component and import it in our dashboard component. So import, actually I won't import this way. I'll just type the name of the component right here. So add task, and you can see that it was auto imported at the top there. So I will save this and go back to our browser, go to the dashboard, and you can see that we have our form there, but we don't want this sign in there. So let's remove the h4. Okay, and save. There we go. And this video is now long enough. One last component that we want to design is the list component that will be a table at the bottom here, but this I will do it in our next video. Right now We have designed our sign up, we have designed our sign in, we have designed our add task component, and we are able to log our changes to the console. So you can see, oops, this is an email. That's it. If you don't want to miss the next video, make sure you subscribe and turn on post notification. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next.